I used to think camping was only scary in movies, the kind where someone hears a branch snap, points a torch at the trees, and then makes the worst decision possible. But when you are actually out there, with no streetlights, no buildings, no neighbors, and no one close enough to hear you if something goes wrong, you understand something. The forest does not need to chase you, it just needs to wait. This happened a few years ago. My friend Marcus had been trying to get me to camp with him for months. He loved anything outdoors. I loved phone signal, proper toilets, and sleeping on a real mattress. But after a long week, I finally agreed. One night only, that was the agreement. We would drive out, camp near a quiet forest trail, wake up early, and go home. Simple. That was the plan. We reached the place just before sunset. It was not an official campsite. Marcus had found it through an old hiking forum. A small clearing, flat ground, trees on every side, a narrow dirt track leading back to the main road. No other campers, no lights, no signs, just enough space for one tent and a small stove. I remember standing there, looking at the trees. They were too close together. That was my first thought. Not peaceful, not beautiful, just too close. Like the forest was leaning in. Marcus loved it. "This is perfect," he said. I said, "Perfect for what?" He laughed. I didn't. We set up before dark. By the time the tent was ready, the sky had turned that grey-blue color that makes every tree trunk look like a person standing still. We cooked instant noodles and ate beside the stove. For a while, it was actually fine. We talked, we laughed. Marcus said I was too used to city comfort. I told him city comfort included not being eaten by insects. Then, around 10:30 p.m., the forest changed. Not suddenly, not like a movie. The insects did not stop completely. The wind did not die. But the background noise became thinner, more distant, like everything around us had moved a little farther away. I noticed it first. Marcus was packing up the food when I said, "Do you hear that?" He paused. "Hear what?" "Exactly." He listened, then shrugged. "It's just quiet." But it was not just quiet. It felt watched. Anyone who has been alone outside at night knows that feeling. Sometimes your body notices something before your brain can explain it. We cleaned up quickly. Marcus hung the food bag from a branch, even though he said there were no bears around. "Just in case," he said. That was the first time he sounded less confident. We went into the tent around 11. Marcus fell asleep almost instantly. I did not. I lay there staring at the dark fabric above me, listening. Leaves shifting, insects clicking, something small moving through dry grass. Normal sounds. I kept telling myself that. Normal, normal, normal. At some point, I must have fallen asleep, because the next thing I remember, I was awake, completely awake. No half dream, no slow drifting. My eyes opened, and I knew something was wrong. At first, I heard nothing. Then, crunch, a footstep, outside the tent, not far away, not deep in the forest, right outside. I stared into the dark. Marcus was asleep beside me, one arm over his face. I waited. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe it was a deer. Maybe it was just a branch falling. Then it happened again. Crunch, pause. Crunch, pause. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Something was walking around our tent. Not past it, around it. The footsteps moved from the front to the side, behind us, then back to the front again. A full circle. I reached over and grabbed Marcus's sleeping bag. He stirred, did not wake up. I pulled harder. His eyes opened. I put one finger to my lips. He looked confused for half a second. Then the next footstep landed right beside his head. Crunch. His expression changed. We both stayed still. The footsteps stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the tent wall pressed inward, just slightly. Not enough to collapse it, just enough to show the shape of a hand. 5 points against the fabric, then sliding away. Marcus slowly reached for the torch. I grabbed his wrist. I don't know why. I just knew I did not want him to turn it on. Not yet. Then we heard a voice. Low, soft, mumbling. It was close. So close, it sounded like the person had their mouth almost touching the tent. I could not understand the words. That made it worse. The mumbling was quiet and steady, like someone repeating the same sentence again and again. Marcus leaned closer and whispered, "Is that a person?" I shook my head, not because I knew it wasn't, because I was afraid it was. The mumbling moved around the tent. The footsteps followed. Crunch, murmur, crunch, murmur. Every few seconds, the fabric moved. A brush, a tap, a slow drag of fingers across the outside. Then the voice stopped, and someone said clearly, "Are you awake?" Neither of us moved. The voice came again. "Are you awake in there?" It was a man's voice, calm, almost polite. Marcus whispered, "Don't answer." I nodded. The man outside waited. Then he laughed once. Not loud, not like a joke. Just a short breath through the nose, like he already knew. The footsteps moved away. For 1 second, I thought it was over. Then another voice spoke from the trees. A woman. What did they say? The man near the tent replied, "Nothing." My stomach dropped. There was more than one person. The woman said, "Check the car." Marcus and I looked at each other. Our car was parked about 30 meters away, back along the dirt track. I heard movement in the distance. Not one set of footsteps now. Several, soft, spread out, moving through leaves. Then, near the car, a light flashed. Once, twice, like someone had opened a door. Marcus mouthed, "Keys." He patted his jacket. His face changed. The keys were not there. Then I remembered. He had left them in the side pocket of his backpack, outside the tent, beside the stove. The man outside the tent said, "You should be more careful." He was right next to us again. I had not heard him come back. No footsteps, no leaves, no approach. Just suddenly there. Marcus reached for the tent zipper. I grabbed him. The man outside said, "I wouldn't open that." Then he tapped the zipper from the outside. Once, twice, 3 times. Tiny sounds. Huge fear. The woman near the car called, "They have phones?" The man answered, "No signal here." He knew. Of course he knew. Maybe everyone who came to that clearing learned the same thing. No signal, no help, no one nearby. Marcus finally spoke. His voice cracked. "We don't want trouble." Silence. Then the man said, "Neither do we." That almost made it worse, because he sounded honest, like this was normal, like we had walked into something already happening. The woman called again. "Ask them why they're here." The man leaned closer. I could see the tent fabric move with his breath. "Why are you here?" Marcus swallowed. "Camping." The man was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, "No one camps here." I wanted to say we didn't know. I wanted to say we would leave in the morning. But before I could speak, the man said, "They always say they didn't know." forest went completely quiet. No insects, no wind, nothing. Then, somewhere behind us, a third voice whispered, "Make them look." It was a child's voice. That was the worst one. Not because it was loud, not because it was angry, because it sounded bored, like a child asking to see something interesting. The man outside said, "No." The child whispered again, closer this time, "Make them look." Marcus suddenly shouted, "We're leaving." The footsteps stopped. Everyone stopped. Marcus continued, louder, "We'll leave right now. We won't say anything. We'll just go." The man outside sighed. Then he said, "You should have left before dark." After that, nothing happened for a while. No voices, no footsteps, no tapping, just silence. We waited. 5 minutes, 10, maybe longer. Eventually Marcus whispered, "We run to the car." I whispered back, "They have the keys." He said, "Maybe they don't." We both knew they did. Then we heard something being placed on the ground outside the tent entrance. A soft clink, then another, then another. Marcus slowly reached for the zipper. This time, I did not stop him. He opened it just enough to look out. The clearing was empty. The stove was there. The backpacks were there. The trees stood black and still around us. And right outside the tent entrance, placed neatly in a row, were our car keys, our phones, and Marcus's torch. Beside them was a small pile of cigarette butts. Fresh ones. Dozens of them. Like someone had stood there smoking for hours. Watching us, Marcus grabbed everything and zipped the tent shut. Neither of us spoke. At around 4:40 a.m., the footsteps returned. Not close this time. They were all around the clearing. Slow circles, wider than before, like people walking around an invisible boundary. Then the voices came back, mumbling. Many voices now. Men, women, at least one child. None of them loud, none of them clear. Just a low ring of human sound around the campsite. Marcus started shaking. I could feel it through the ground sheet. Then the voices stopped all at once, and every person outside whispered the same sentence. Morning is not for everyone. I don't remember much after that. Only waiting. Only the cold. Only the pale blue light slowly filling the tent. When the sun finally rose, Marcus opened the tent. No one was there. The clearing looked normal. Too normal. Our food bag was still hanging from the tree. Nothing had been stolen. Nothing had been broken. The car was locked. The backpacks were untouched. But the ground around the tent was covered in footprints. Bare footprints, shoe prints, small prints, large prints. Dozens of paths crossing over each other, circling the tent, circling the stove, circling the place where our keys had been left. But none of the footprints led into the forest. None led back to the road. They were only inside the clearing, as if the people had started there and ended there. Marcus packed faster than I had ever seen anyone pack. We did not fold the tent properly. We did not eat breakfast. We did not talk. We threw everything into the car and drove. About 5 minutes down the dirt track, we passed something we had missed the day before. A wooden sign nailed to a tree. Old, weathered, almost hidden by branches. Marcus slowed the car. The sign said, "No camping beyond this point." Underneath, someone had carved another sentence into the wood. Not painted, carved deep. "If you hear walking after midnight, do not speak first." Marcus stared at it. I stared at it. Then he drove faster. We never went back. For months, I told myself it was people. Strange people. Dangerous people, maybe. but still people. That explanation made the world feel safer. People can be reported. People can be avoided. People leave footprints. People make mistakes. But sometimes, late at night, I remember the parts that do not fit. The man returning to the tent without a sound. The child's voice coming from behind us when no one had walked there. The footprints with no trail leading away. And what the man said, "No one camps here, not nobody, no one," like it was a rule. Last week, Marcus called me. We had not spoken about that night in almost a year. His voice sounded different, tired, flat. He asked me one question. "Do you still have the photo?" I knew which photo he meant. The one I took the morning after. The footprints around the tent. I said yes. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Zoom in on the trees." So I did. I opened the photo. I found the clearing, the tent, the stove, the mess of footprints in the dirt. Then I zoomed in past the tent, past the first line of trees. At first, I saw nothing. Just shadows, branches, leaves. Then I saw them. Faces, not clear, not close, but there, between the trees. Several pale shapes, standing in a row, watching the tent, watching us. I told Marcus I saw them. He breathed out slowly. Then he said, "Good." I asked him what he meant. He said, "Because I thought I was the only one." Then the line went quiet. Not dead, not disconnected, just quiet. And through the phone, very faintly, I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate, crunch, pause, crunch, pause. Then Marcus whispered, "They're outside again." And the call ended.